No matter where we go or what we do, we read. Street signs, emails, menus, books, letters, contracts, memos, and the list goes on. We read every day.
Reading is very important in communication. The more you read, the better you will be, because you get different points of view from different people. Not everyone you're going to have the same opinion. So the more you read, the more educated you get every day.
I enjoy reading because it can be somewhat of an escape. It's entertaining to me.
You see words that you don't normally use. You can go look them up in the dictionary or on the internet, and you tend to, okay, that's a word I don't normally use. I don't know it. Okay, now I can take that and use it in my own vocabulary.
I enjoy reading because it enhances my communication skills, both written and orally.
When we're in school, professors and teachers give us countless assignments that require reading and research. Once we graduate, those assignments keep coming. They, of course, differ from academia, but the volume of reading doesn't really change. You may be surprised to learn how much reading is required in the working world.
I get a huge amount of reading material every day. I get 100 to 200 emails a day, and that's not junk mail because our company filters out the junk mail very effectively. So all the emails are things that I need to read. Some are just a brief note, but there's a lot of reports and articles and other things that I need to know. I need to learn them and be prepared to talk about them.
The quantity of reading material that crosses my desk every day is immense, coming in both electronic and paper forms. I have a number of professional publications, magazines, brochures for continuing education, memos from colleagues, and then of course correspondence like court filings, letters from clients, letters from people I deal with.
I spend almost 100% of my day writing and reading. So I don't spend any time in the courtroom, though I am an attorney. The quantity of reading that I see every day is unfortunately astronomical. I spend all day either reading books or searching online for answers to questions.
This quantity of reading may sound intimidating, especially if reading isn't your strongest skill. But don't worry. In this program, we'll show you how to tackle the volume of reading that will cross your desk once you enter the professional world.
She laughed right out loud. I love you. Do we read more books? The girl whispered.
We learn to read when we're very young. As we grow up, we are constantly honing this very important skill.
It feels perfect.
Regardless of what field you choose, reading will be part of the job.
No matter what your dream job might be, reading is very, very critical to the process. Initially, you're going to have to look at that job posting. You're going to have to read it, comprehend it, then develop your resume from that job description.
We have 9 simple tips to help you manage reading tasks quickly and efficiently. First, create a reading environment that works for you. Some people can only read in a place that's completely quiet, like a library. If you prefer to read in silence but can't get to a library, close your doors and windows. If you still hear distracting sounds, try to find another space that offers a quiet retreat. Others find that a little background noise helps them focus. If you prefer to read in an environment that isn't quiet, a white noise machine, electric fan, or some soft music might help you focus. Also, pay attention to the room's temperature. A room that's too hot or too cold can interfere with one's ability to concentrate. Make yourself physically comfortable before you begin reading. If possible, reserve reading for a time when you are least likely to be disturbed or distracted. For example, if many of your coworkers are at lunch or in a meeting, you may have a chance to read without any interruptions. Use these opportunities to your advantage to create your preferred environment.
A comfortable reading place is so important. Everyone should have some place in their home where they feel really safe and secure, and so that you have a place that is yours. You can sit there and read and forget about the rest of the world.
It's important to create a comfortable reading environment because it makes you comfortable in receiving what you are reading. Even when you try to do hard reading in a comfortable situation, it makes it easier to recall and to retain.
It's also important to select the proper lighting for reading. This will eliminate eye strain, reduce headaches, and make reading more enjoyable. Consider using a light that clips on your desk or a book lamp that illuminates just the reading material. If you need to wear glasses or contacts to correct your vision, make sure you use them when you read. You'll read faster and comprehend more if you are comfortable in your reading environment. When you read, you need to clearly define your purpose. For example, if you're reading for school or for work, know the specific knowledge you need to gain. Your focus and concentration may need to be adjusted depending on whether you're reading for fun, for school, or for work. By determining your purpose, you'll be able to distinguish the important information from the irrelevant and allocate your attention accordingly. Identifying your purpose from the start will make reading more enjoyable and comprehension easier.
It's very important to read to have a purpose, because experiments have been done where children have been reading without a purpose and their comprehension is much less than it is when a child or a student has a purpose for reading.
One of the best ways of discovering the value and the content as well as the purpose for what you are reading is to have a purpose for reading it.
The reason why you want to read for a purpose is you're setting your brain up, your supercharged brain, in order for you to be able to remember anything about the text that you're reading. Unless you have a purpose in mind, your brain is going to judge things insignificant.
You don't have to read every correspondence you receive. At home and at work, you're sure to get piles of newspapers, magazines, junk mail, memos, and emails.
In terms of what I see on any given day that comes across my desk, I would say I get to actually read 80% of it. That leaves approximately 20% that I have to scan and set aside to be read later, and that's what I do. I read it the next day or set it aside for the weekend to be read.
On any given day, I probably read 40% of the material that I receive on that day. But each day is different, and the issues of the day are different on Monday than they are on Tuesday. So it requires discretion and the ability to think on my feet and decide what I need to read and what I need to be prepared for that day and what can wait until later in the afternoon or even the next day.
Determine which items are important and throw out, recycle, or delete the rest. Use the time you just saved to read the things important to you. When reading books, newspapers, or magazines, be selective. Read only the portions that are most beneficial or of greatest interest to you.
I have to be very disciplined about what I actually read in that moment, what I decide that I'm not going to need at all, and what I decide to read later. And so the first step to me is really being a little bit ruthless about deleting things or throwing them away right off the bat, because a lot of the things that I receive, I may even be interested in them, but if I don't need them, then I just don't have time for them.
I generally prioritize my reading based on how a particular bill or legislation or headline affects my client for that particular day, whether there's a scheduled hearing coming up, legislative hearing coming up on the issue, or whether or not the issue itself adversely affects my client. So I have to kind of prioritize the most important things in the beginning.
Don't feel like you need to read everything at once. Select the reading material that seems most critical and read it first. The rest can be saved for another time.
What is the most important thing is determined by where it comes from, who sent it. For example, if there are materials that came in from the adjudicator, the Office of Judges, the Supreme Court, that is the most important thing to read.
Pay careful attention to the title, opening paragraph, and summary statements of a piece. These will provide a quick overview or recap of the entire piece.
The benefit of prioritizing is it will help you to be more economical in terms of your time and as well as your energy.
To help yourself prioritize what you should read, look over the material or visually scan it with your eyes before you begin to read. Take advantage of items that will help you locate the information you need quickly. Tables of contents, indexes, headlines, images, and graphics all help identify the material that is of the greatest value to you. When reading electronic material, use keywords to search for specific sources. For example, if you're looking for reading material about basketball, type the word basketball in your search engine. The search results will provide you with more specific information on the subject matter you need than if you searched the word sports alone.
When I began to research a project when I was a student in college or even as a teacher developing a unit, it is very much of a time saver, and it also helps me to get exactly to where I want to go, either by using the table of contents or the index. Another tool I use on the internet, of course, are the searches.
Once you start reading, don't stop until you've finished the part you set out to read. Don't worry about how fast or slow you read. The main objective is to comprehend what's written.
If you're not a fast reader, that's okay. Speed isn't everything. Speed is perhaps more important when you're attempting to pull out facts, which you can pull out quickly from focusing on the bold words or the bold headlines. But often you do not have to read quickly to absorb and especially if you're reading for enjoyment, there is no need to speed through that. Take the time and actually absorb the content and enjoy the content.
Sometimes it's hard to stay focused, especially if you don't find the material interesting.
This is how I handle the task of reading something difficult or maybe not as interesting as I would like for it to be. I find even with my students, working with a pair, working with a partner in a pair is really helpful because we both can read the same material, but then when it's over with, we can discuss with each other what we found interesting. Even if it was really not interesting at all, hearing somebody else say what they felt was interesting makes it more interesting to me.
If you find that you're having a hard time staying focused, walk away from your reading for a moment or two. Or try reading from a new source and revisit the one you set aside at a later time. Another way to improve your reading comprehension is to take notes. Keep a paper and pen handy or open a word processing document when you are reading. Make note of key points, quotes, statistics, and other information that supports your purpose for reading. If you have questions about what you've read, make note of them and reread the portions that will provide answers. Developing a note-taking method that works for you will lead to success. When writing notes, you can use a separate piece of paper, the margin, or a highlighter.
I know a lot of students like to highlight the material, but often that material, once it's highlighted, it's lost. If you reinforce it by writing it down and taking notes and then rereading those notes with phrases, because they like to deal in phrases, it becomes part of their knowledge.
Note-taking will help you remember the information and make it easy to find the important sections when you review the text.
There are many more benefits of writing out notes as opposed to just highlighting it in a book, because when you're engaging your hand by using your writing, you're engaging the other hemisphere of your brain. So when you have more than one side of your brain working, your memory is going to be greater.
Note-taking, even if it's only to put a little symbol or some word or two next to a section that you have highlighted, becomes a means of helping you to identify why you highlighted that in the first place.
The reason why I would discourage copying every sentence down is you're just giving surface structure. You need deep structure, and deep structure means that you put the information in your own words. Try to put it in your own words, the language you use, and if you try to put it in your own words, it'll be something that you know you've understood it.
When taking notes, summarize large passages of text in 3 or 4 sentences. This will provide you with a quick overview of what you've read. Highlight, underline, or bracket key information and term definitions for emphasis. That way, when you go back to the information later, it'll be easier to identify the important content. Next, number or use bullet points to put information in order that occurs in a sequence. Remember that reading is a skill just like any other. If you wanted to become a better ball player, you'd need to practice often to see improvement. The same is true for reading.
A good reader is often able to reiterate to you their understanding of what they've read. If they cannot retell the story, it's probably because they didn't understand what they read.
To become a faster, more efficient reader, read articles and books that interest you as often as possible. Set reading goals for yourself during downtime and try your best to meet them. The more you read, the quicker your speed and comprehension. The real test of your comprehension is whether you can recall what you read. Understanding and desire are key to reading retention. You need to understand what you read in order to remember it. Reviewing notes will help. You also have to want to retain the information and believe that you have the ability to do so.
Reading is just a big part of my life, and I think it's an important part of my life, and I think it should be an important part of everybody's life because it makes everything easier for you as a student. If you enjoy reading, you're going to get through your work much easier. As an adult, you'll know more, you'll be better educated, and that'll help you in a million different ways.
We read to find out about other people, but we also read to find out about ourselves. The more you read, the better you're going to understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, then you can do anything in life. You know, it helps you in every aspect of your life. School, work, your relationships. It helps you with everything.
Reading is a skill you'll continue to perfect even after you've finished school. From the content that will greet you at work to the volume of mail, newspapers, and magazines that will be waiting for you at home, the tips we covered in this video will help you manage your reading quickly and efficiently without overlooking important information.